All right, let's jump right into this explainer. I want you to picture a scene that, well, we're all probably a little too familiar with. It's nighttime, a dark, quiet bedroom. But inside, the room isn't dark, is it? It's completely washed in this unnatural, cold, neon blue glow of a smartphone. Today, we're going to unpack the incredibly powerful, inverse relationship between the time we spend glued to these glowing screens and the quality of the rest we literally need to survive.
Okay, so it's 2 a.m. You are absolutely exhausted. Your eyes are practically burning. You can feel that silent night anxiety creeping in, and your body is begging for sleep. But you just can't stop scrolling. Why do we do this? When our bodies are so desperate for natural recovery, why on earth do we sabotage our own rest just staring into these impossibly bright screens while our chances for a good night's sleep basically dissolve into digital pixels?
Now, if you're feeling a little guilty right now, let me tell you, you are definitely not alone. According to a recent poll by the National Sleep Foundation, a whopping 58% of Americans admit to looking at screens within an hour before bedtime. More than half of us are actively stepping right into this digital trap every single night. But to fix this, we first need to understand the psychology behind why we're doing it in the first place. And the key to all of this is a fascinating psychological phenomenon called revenge bedtime procrastination. You see, refusing to sleep isn't always just a bad habit. It's actually often an act of rebellion. It's a phenomenon where people who feel they have absolutely no control over their daytime lives refuse to go to sleep early, just so they can regain some tiny sense of freedom late at night. The term actually took off because of the brutal 996 working culture. You know, working 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. When you're that exhausted and overworked, sometimes you just want to reclaim your own time, even if it's literally costing you your health. But we've got to be honest with ourselves about what true bedtime procrastination actually is. There are 3 specific conditions here. First, you're delaying sleep past your intended bedtime. Second, you have no valid external reason. Like obviously if you have a sick kid or an emergency, that's different, but this isn't that. And third, and this is the kicker, you have full awareness that doing this will result in negative consequences. It's a conscious choice that leads directly to emotional fatigue and those lovely dark circles under your eyes the next morning.
Moving on to Section 1. How blue light steals sleep.
So now that we know why we're doing it, let's look at the biology, because these numbers are a serious wake-up call. A huge recent study of nearly 40,000 university students found an undeniable inverse relationship. Every single extra hour of screen time after you get into bed literally steals 24 minutes of sleep right out of your night. 24 minutes. It might sound small, but those missing chunks of rest compound so fast into chronic sleep loss.
And it's not just about losing minutes. The severity of that extra hour is honestly alarming. That 1 extra hour of scrolling spikes your chances of experiencing clinical insomnia symptoms by a staggering 59%. Basically, your brain becomes so overloaded with digital signals that the biological mechanisms required to just shut down simply break.
We can actually trace the exact biological pathway of how this disruption happens, and it's wild. The short wavelength blue light shoots from your phone directly into special light-sensitive cells in your eye. From there, the signal goes straight to your brain's master clock. And that master clock essentially sounds a fake daylight alarm, sending an emergency shutdown signal to your pineal gland, immediately halting the production of melatonin.
And the drop-off in that crucial sleep hormone is massive. Because blue light mimics daytime sunlight, it's actively tricking your brain. Research shows that just 2 hours of exposure to an LED tablet causes a 55% decrease in melatonin. That means more than half of the very chemical your body relies on to pull you into deep, restorative sleep is wiped out, all because you decided to watch a few more videos in bed. This essentially builds a massive roadblock for your circadian rhythm. Under normal circumstances, your melatonin secretion should start climbing right around 9 p.m. But because of that screen exposure, we're seeing an average melatonin delay of a full hour and a half. That pushes your entire deep sleep phase off a cliff, shifting it way too late into the early morning hours, which pretty much guarantees your alarm clock is going to feel like a physical assault the next day.
Which brings us to Section 2, the time displacement effect.
So, the time displacement hypothesis is exactly what it sounds like. These oversized, bright screens don't just keep us awake, they actively devour the literal hours we would otherwise spend on physical activity or restful sleep. Think of it like a balance scale. As the screen time counter goes up, your sleep bar goes down. It's as if the sand in your body's hourglass is literally turning into notification icons, stealing time straight from your biological maintenance schedule.
And it actually gets worse when we look at how we use these devices, creating what's called the scattered attention cycle. When you're media multitasking, maybe watching a show on TV while scrolling through your phone, you are diminishing your brain's ability to filter relevant information. The constant incoming notifications, the endless feeds, the rapid context switching, it overloads your brain with so many digital signals that it melts away your ability to wind down, leaving you completely unable to relax before bed.
Let's look at Section 3, the physical health toll. Now, there is this fascinating bidirectional relationship between sleep and physical health, specifically when it comes to your weight. When you're sleep deprived from screen time, leptin, which is the hormone that signals that you're full, actually decreases. And at the exact same time, ghrelin, the hormone that stimulates hunger, increases. You are literally biochemically programming yourself to have intense cravings, which directly links late-night screen time to the rising epidemic of metabolic disorders.
And those daytime consequences just cascade from there. When you find yourself with red, tired eyes, snapping at a colleague, or experiencing a total loss of focus during a meeting, you've got to remember, these are direct casualties of last night's digital trap. You are paying the price today for the screen time you borrowed yesterday. So, let's talk solutions in Section 4, Disconnect to Recharge.
I want you to mentally contrast two very different environments for a second. On one hand, you have the cold blue light routine, endless scrolling, harsh neon glare, high emotional stress, and a chemically suppressed brain. Now, on the other hand, picture a warm golden light routine. You've actually put the phone away, you're reading a physical book under soft, warm amber lighting, the crescent moon is shining outside your window, and your brain is finally allowed to initiate natural sleep. Which environment does your body actually want to be in?
The sources we reviewed offer some fantastic, actionable advice to help you get there. First, you absolutely have to establish screen-free periods. Give yourself a strict cutoff time, at least an hour before bed. If you absolutely have to use a device, please use heavy blue light filters. But ideally, replace that time with mindfulness, journaling, or just reading. Ease your brain into a state of calm.
And here is the single most practical step you can take starting tonight. Research shows that 87% of Americans sleep with their phone in their bedroom. Take it out. It really is that simple. By removing the physical temptation of the device, you completely eliminate the risk of those middle-of-the-night notification checks. Go buy a cheap, standalone alarm clock, yes, they definitely still make those, and let your bedroom be just for sleep.
Ultimately, the science we've unpacked today brings us right back to one undeniable inverse relationship. More screens mean less sleep. Every extra minute you surrender to your device is a minute stolen directly from your health, your focus, and your overall well-being.
We have to remember that despite all of our incredible modern technology, our underlying biology has not changed. Your brain fundamentally needs darkness to rest. We still require the natural rhythms of the moon and stars, not the frantic pulse of digital pixels, to trigger our internal clocks and give our bodies the chance to heal. So tonight, when that feeling of revenge bedtime procrastination hits you and you feel that overwhelming urge to keep scrolling just to reclaim a few minutes of freedom, I challenge you to make a different choice. Put the phone down, turn off the screens, claim your actual freedom by choosing to give your body the deep, restorative rest it desperately deserves. Disconnect to recharge. Because at the end of the day, sleep is health. It is the foundation of literally everything you do. So I'll leave you with this final thought. When you climb into bed tonight, will you let a glowing screen seal your peace? Or will you finally allow yourself the luxury of a quiet, uninterrupted night? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I genuinely wish you all a very restful night.